Hello, welcome to Moonlit Fly Fishing, fly tying night tonight. I'm Brandon Moon, and tonight we're going to bring to you part of our AeroFoam series. The AeroFoam is a guide series fly that we're tying in a variety of different styles. This is just a quick, easy pattern to tie, very effective and very durable. The foam body is actually going to help float this fly as well, so we're excited about bringing the Parachute Adams in the AeroFoam series with a new age, new spin on a classic pattern. So make sure you like the video, subscribe, leave us a comment, let us know what your favorite size Parachute Adams is that you fish in your local waters, and we look forward to seeing you next time. The hook that we're going to be using today is the Moonlit Premium Tagata ML102 dry fly hook in a size 14. The thread I'm using is Semperfli's Classic Wax. We're using the steel color. This is a little bit darker gray. I'm going to start this about 3/4 of the way up the hook shank. So I have a quarter for my tip there in the thorax. I'm going to wrap that all the way back to the bend of the hook. I'm going to place my tag end of thread off to the side. I'm going to take 2 fiery brown pieces of Semperfli tail fiber fibbets, and I'm just going to clip them out, and then I'm just going to make sure loosely measure them and even the tips out. Now I'm going to measure that so that it's roughly the length of the hook shank, maybe a little bit longer. You can always shorten it, but you can never lengthen it out, so I'd rather be long. A couple loose wraps securing that in. Now I'm just going to make sure that moves up and sits on the top of the hook shank. Secure that down. Now I'm going to take my fingers and I'm just going to separate these tailing fibers just a little bit. Then I'm going to take my tag end of thread and we'll pull it up in the middle. And the tighter I pull, the wider those are going to spread. And that's going to help keep those spread nice and good. So I'll keep that pulled tight. And then I've got it secured down with some tight wraps. And I'm just going to keep moving forward for a few till I secure it down good. Then I'll trim that out at that start point that I had. We'll go forward and trim all the way into there. Now I'm going to go back to my tail here. And just before I get back all the way to the tail, I'm going to go underneath. And that's going to help prop and keep those tails going straight out. Now I've got a 1mm piece of foam cut about half the hook gape, and then a nice strong long taper there because I don't want to build up much bulk to this. So we'll secure that down. And I do like that tag to go all the way up the body as much as possible. Helps with the floatability, having the foam on the hook as well before I wrap the body, and helps create a nice even taper. We'll make sure we go all the way back to the tail. Then I'm just going to wrap forward to that 3/4 point where I started my thread. I did not get all that foam all the way up, so I did kind of even that out just a little bit with a little bit of thread wraps. I'm going to take, and I've got the one side that isn't tapered marked with black marker, and I'm going to lay that on the back side, and I'm going to go 3/4 of the way up that open piece of foam, and we're just going to lay over the top of each one of those, and we're going to wrap that all the way up into that 3/4 mark. And you can see I have still a little bit of taper left there. That's perfect. That allows me to keep a nice slim profile. Now I've secured that down, I'm going to take a razor blade and trim out that foam. This gives me a nice clean cut. I like, before I trim that out, to move the thread off to the bobbin rest there. I'm going to take Semperfli's poly yarn, and I'm just kind of brushing this out so that it's nice. I don't have that little knot that was in it. And I just take a small piece of this, You can get longer pieces and cut them as needed, but I like to cut just a little bit short so that I'm not having excess. I'm going to lay that across the top, and I'm going to give about 3 wraps over the top, and then if it's loose enough I can maneuver that where I want it, but I want this to sit right where that foam ended. So I'm going to secure that down. I'm going to kind of moisten my fingers to kind of help pull that poly yarn in, make it a little easier to manage and maneuver. I'm just going to secure that down with some wraps in front and back before I start wrapping up my parachute. And I'm just going to use touching wraps going up the parachute post. You can see that they're going to start to pull that in nice and close. I don't want to go too high up. You could say about a hook eye's height up the post there, because I don't want to have too much hackle wrapping up there. Here you're going to see I'm taking a grizzly barred hackle and a copper marker, and I'm just going to mark 1/2 of this so that I'm using 1 feather versus tying in and wrapping 2 feathers. This gives me a little bit cleaner. And you can mark it all the way up. You can mark little sections at a time, whatever is going to work best for you. I like the copper because it gives me a darker look, but not too dark. Really, really nice looking color. Once I've got that, I'm going to take my prepped feather here and I'm going to tie that in. And I want the shiny side facing outward when I tie this in. So the shiny side is going to be facing me. I'm going to take and secure that quill down right in front, and then I'm going to hold it up and secure it as I wrap forward or up the post here. And once we've wrapped up there, we'll just take and wrap back down. Now we're going to tie our thorax in here with some pine squirrel dubbing, or excuse me, we're going to use the beaver dubbing. This is a dry fly. We're going to use Moonlit's beaver dubbing natural. This is a nice light gray color. You can also use the dark gray if you wanted a darker thorax. We'll take a small amount and just create a nice small dubbing rope there, and we'll just wrap our thorax. Not a real big bulky fly or thorax, we just want it to be nice and even. Once we've got that, I'm going to take and wrap my hackle with the shiny side down. That's going to make the curvature of these feathers point upward, and it's going to give me a nice clean wrap and fly here. I'm going to wrap this 3 touching wraps going down. Take my thread, and this is 12/0 thread so that I get a nice small body, doesn't build up bulk as I'm doing this part here. Now once I've secured that down with the wrap, I'm going to take some super glue. I like the brush on applicator from Loctite. You can get that on the website. Put a little bit on there. I'm going to go over the top of that stem and under the hackle, and then underneath the stem and around again. Now I'm just going to take my box knife here, razor blade, and I'm going to trim out the thread. My blade's getting a little bit duller. I'm going to trim out the hackle now. Now this is where you trim out your parachute post. You can cut it in an angle, you can cut it flush, whatever is going to work best for you. Thank you for watching. We'll see you same time next week with our AeroFoam Purple Haze variation. We're excited to bring that to you. Have a wonderful day.